The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Victor here, back with Coffee with Experts. And today we're actually going to learn a lot about learning management systems from somebody who used to sled in the snow in cold Alaska years ago, started its own company talking about exactly what I said in learning management systems. And he is today here with us, not only to talk about it, but to also give us a guide on how to survive in the future apocalyptic world that we're going to be in some years from now. Chris Badgett is here with us. Let's help him move the show forward. Chris, how's it going for you?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Victor. I'm happy to share.
Same. We're actually very excited to understand more about how you started LifterLMS, your company, how you're utilizing it nowadays. But of course, I just went around talking about sled-dogs in Alaska and snow. What is it all about? Can you tell us? Can you enlighten us regarding everything that happened towards you?
Yeah. So I've always been a guy who just follows my passions. So in college, I was passionate about culture and anthropology, and that's what I studied in college. And that brought me different places around the world. And we can talk about it later, but some people, will compliment me on my marketing and my sales skills, which I have no formal training in. It all comes from my understanding of anthropology and social science. But after I graduated, I lived in the back of my car and was a climbing bum. I did a lot of mountaineering and big wall rock climbing type stuff. And then I decided to move to Alaska, and I got a job as a sled dog tour guide up there. I thought I was going for one summer, and I ended up staying for a decade and ended up kind of being one of the managers of that company. We lived on a glacier. You could only get there by helicopter. There was about
Oh,
a
wow.
couple hundred sled dogs up there. And, the cruise ships would come in, people would fly up, and we would take them on sled dog rides. And we lived on the ice field. And that's kind of the backstory of Alaska. And during that time, I got really into studying leadership because I had to manage a company, and
And
I wanted to
dogs.
start, and dogs, yeah. And I wanted to start, blogging about that topic I was interested in. I went to YouTube. I found a video on how to build a WordPress website. And through all that, I ended up starting an agency, grew that to 17 people, and then built the product that I wish existed. And I'm still here, 15 years, 17 years later.
That's so nice. Congratulations on managing, because not a lot of companies can even survive 5 years. Imagine 15 years. You said so yourself. So at first, Lifter was an agency, and right now you consider it to be like a SaaS platform. Is that it?
That's correct. I started my own just one person agency, and I would often oversell what I had the skills to deliver because I'm not an engineer, I'm not a designer. And, I could use WordPress and build a website, but I started having to hire people to help, do custom development and design. And through all that, I ended up merging with another agency, and we focused in on the kind of course creator space. And I launched my own online course project with my wife on organic gardening and permaculture. So it's like the hair club for men. I'm not only a work
That's,
here, I'm also a client.
that's great. That's actually a very nice origin story. I know for a fact that Lifter LMS is the place where people should go if they're looking to create, launch, or scale a high value online training program. And nowadays, now talking about 2025, we have several solutions that do so, but I still want to go back in time and talk about the moment where you started, where we didn't have LMS all over the place. We didn't have places where you could easily learn and even put your learning skills to the test. You had YouTube, you had blogs, you had a lot of personal blogs, but still the concept itself wasn't like that. So, what was the precise moment or insight that triggered the birth of Lifter? Like you said so yourself, you were studying and you wanted to document it. and then you started growing, and then you had to hire more people. But was there actually a customer that changed the story of it all? The moment where you decided, like, yes, I am gonna scale this even further.
Yeah. And that first customer was me. So this is back in around 2009. Started kind of getting interested in the early days of internet marketing, of this idea of building an online course or an info product, as they're called, and coaching programs. And I just became obsessed, even though I lived, was camping more than half my life and stuff like that. I had this other life where I was really fascinated with building an online business and information products and helping people and that kind of thing. So what I did is, as a non-developer, found I exist in the WordPress ecosystem, which powers 42% of the websites on the internet. And I
Yeah.
found what's called a theme that had some like course related features in it. I bought it and I launched the organic gardening site with my wife. And then we started partnering with experts around the world in different permaculture niches. I would even fly to other countries and film these workshops in the jungle and then turn it into an online course, stuff like that. But then the crazy thing that happened is on my web design business website, I started blogging about how I built an online course with WordPress. And then all of a sudden my phone just started ringing, emails coming. People wanted me to, do that for them. And that's
Hmm.
where our agency got really focused on that. So it's really popular now, the creator economy, but it's
True.
been going on for a long time. So those early customers were like a guy who taught certain types of real estate sales in Australia, a yoga teacher in California. These are some of like the first users of LifterLMS. And basically in WordPress, there's a lot of plugins and themes and all these little solutions you can string together. So from the very beginning, I was like, I just want to build the all-in-one that you just put this one thing in there and it does everything that a course creator or a coach wants to do. But this was before the creator economy was big. There are about 500 LMSs now, and they serve different segments of the market. But I mean, Lifter LMS, I remember we were starting at the same time that Teachable started, if you've heard of that.
Yeah,
And it
I
used to
have.
be called Fedora. People don't know that, like in the early days of Teachable. And WordPress has some unique challenges because it's not like a full platform like Teachable. You kind of have to get your own website and your own hosting. But there's a
Hmm.
market for that, that people that want to own their own platform and control it, infinite customizability versus like a kind of a walled garden SaaS solution, which is also good. But there's this whole like WordPress ecosystem, which is where we evolved, particularly focusing on the creators.
And how is it today in regards to those creators?
It's definitely very popular, especially with, I would say, like just global macroeconomic challenges. There's a lot of people trying to figure out like a side hustle or maybe a second
True.
career. Maybe they don't like their regular job, but the creator economy is just booming.
Yeah.
And, it really took off. I mean, it's been taking off since, 2010 or so, and it's just not slowing down. But we have companies that use the tool and universities and schools and stuff too. So as much as I focus on the creators as like the kind of beachhead market or core segment or ideal customer profile, all these other people show up too and need all this other stuff for like continuing education, professional development, internal training at a company. So we just kind of evolve with the space and have different
Hmm.
modules, add-ons to help fulfill the different use cases. But the creators are always at the core of what we do.
Perfect. That's very nice. And very interesting even. We have, I'm saying that because as you said so yourself, there are so many LMS today and they all have different niches or markets or strategies and whatever. So even in regards to Teachable, as just mentioned, how are you making sure that you're battling the competition itself and making sure that you stay ahead in this market?
Well, it's counterintuitive because just like running sled dogs, there's a saying where you just run your own race. Like you don't even
Oh,
look at the
yeah.
competition. And that's how we do it. And I heard early days in my own entrepreneurship journey, this idea, this may have come from the Lean Startup by Eric Ries. but whoever is closest to the customer wins. So, I
Perfect.
mean, even right before this, I was on a sales call with somebody who wanted to buy our expensive lifetime license, hooked him up. He ended up buying right after we got off the phone. Like, I am always talking to these people. I'm always interviewing them. I review like our, pre-sales conversations, our support tickets. I go to conferences. I kind of have two core customers. There's the creator, the do-it-yourselfer, but there's also the, website building agency that builds sites for clients. So for example, the guy that I just got off the phone with was building an LMS for a client who had a business that needed certain types of training for the public. So there's those two characters are there.
I see. Look, Chris, even talking about it, it's great. And I 100% agree. And we are in the age of AI where so many companies are automating their support even. I know that you didn't mention support by being close to the customer. It's literally by putting your heart and care into what you're delivering to them. But it goes against the idea of scalability. Right? Because
Yeah.
for you to scale, you have to do numbers and more quantitative tasks, being able to literally replicate the formula so that you can grow and grow and grow. But as you said, so yourself and I am a believer of that. We need to be closer to the human to make sure that even if we're not going to be able to scale further, those that are with us, they want to be with us. But not everybody thinks like that. So my question is, have you ever seen or talked to another founder, another SaaS founder, another LMS owner, where you could, in your opinion, of course, see some mistakes that you would never do and you would advise people to never do as well when building and starting their own LMS?
Well, first, I would say we do a lot of scalable automated things. So there's a lot of automation. Most of our sales process is automated. I see content as a form of automation. So anytime we get a question that we don't have a support documentation for, it goes somewhere to create. So we're constantly and improving the user experience, not just getting to the sale, but also the customer success journey that happens after the sale. The biggest mistake I see is getting too focused on certain tactics or strategies because both sides are always have a point. So for example, we have crazy automation. We use AI some in our, figuring out how to reply to customers and stuff, but we also never lose the human element. So if you're like, my advice to new site, if an LMS was starting up, would be like, put the phone number in the header of the website and talk to these people, especially at the beginning. Like, you need that feedback loop. So it's like a red flag for me when I see an about page on a SaaS website. I can't see the people that work there. I don't know what their company values are. I see stock photography. I see too much AI and terminology. And so always think about the opposite. It was, I think Charlie Munger who said, invert, always invert. So like, yeah, you can automate everything, but what would it look like if you didn't? So, okay, well, you want to scale your time and automate. Instead of, as you get a little bigger, maybe take the phone number off the website and put a way for you to run 1 hour a group Zoom call with however many people shows up. And there you're
Webinar of
like
such
scaling the
sorts.
human touch.
That's
But
great.
never just turn it off and turn off the human because it's not going to last. And in the world of AI, the more human connection you get. I hear it all the time from customers like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to Chris, or I don't know what it is. They don't buy the product for the features. They buy it for like trust. And they're like, I just feel like I can trust you guys. And then after they become a customer and they experience the support, because building an LMS is hard. It's not like a utility SaaS that does one thing. It's an entire platform. So once they see that and you back up the promises you made in the marketing with their customer experience, it creates word of mouth and virality and, retention and recurring revenue and all the rest.
Talking about those exact terms that you mentioned, you also have your own podcast, the LMS Cast, with over 400 episodes. Is that right?
I think it's over 500. We just crossed
Oh,
500.
wow. Congratulations, first of all. That's in order. Very nice to know about somebody who's managed to make it. Again, 500 videos, that's so much. Was it always, when you started the podcast, did you always had this mentality of achieving higher numbers in regards to episodes, or were you just testing out the waters?
Everything is a test. I fell in love with podcasting. And the way I think about it is I believe you should put your customer at the center of your business, not your product. And what I realized in my early days of podcasting is we have a software solution, but people ask us for all kinds of other help, like how do I do better marketing? How do I do sales? How do I build a team as this thing starts growing? And all these questions that are kind of outside the scope of the software. And I realized, with my customer at the center of my business, that I could interview experts in different things and then support my customers through content, even outside of the scope of what the software product. And not only that, I mean, you get brand awareness, referrals, you get smarter because you're getting free consulting, you're building human relationships. So like it can be isolating to be an entrepreneur working from home or the coffee shop, and you're making these human connections. Maybe you'll see them at a conference somewhere and you already have a touch point where you've met them before. It's a funny thing. I like to say I started my podcast at the same time as Tim Ferriss. I'm just a lot less well known.
Yeah,
So I would
it's a part
encourage
of life.
you, but I'm in this like little niche of LMS and WordPress. Oh, this isn't my first million or the All In podcast or some big show. I have a core customer that I have a podcast for. And even though some episodes only get like 500 views, that's my core customer. That's 500 of the people that are in my
Yeah.
community. And there's a
Yeah. And that's
segment
a
of those
lot
that
of
buy.
people watching you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
That's
I
like
would say
huge.
too, one more pro tip on podcasting, the analytics and the ROI calculation is very difficult to make work. So I just chalk it up as part of the brand. And, you'll ask people like, how'd you hear about us? And they'll say, oh, I saw you on a podcast or a YouTube video, but that's not coming through my Google Analytics attribution and my links. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. Just podcast if you want to do it.
Yeah, it is exactly as you said. The reason why we do it, it's the same. It's for brand awareness, for connection, it's for networking, for easier conversations. Whenever I'm in a conference and somebody can approach me and say, hey, Victor, I work with LMS, I'm going to immediately think about you and I'm going to refer them to the episode. And maybe this can become something for you as well. That's exactly the point. I'm very much a fan of generating content, let's just say, to make sure that people are even the term conversion at the end of the day can be differently interpreted. And as you said, it can be a high, long conversion that happens because they watch the video, they click on it, and they start talking more with you. Which actually brings me to a question. What does a high conversion content ecosystem, the videos, the podcasts, the emails, look like for you today?
Well, I think we all have our strengths. For some people, it's paid ads. For some people, it's prospecting. For some people, it's inbound or content marketing. I would say content is our strength. We have over 500 podcast episodes, I think around 2,000 YouTube videos, 800 blog posts, 2,000
It's a lot.
support documentation, a bunch of, landing pages for different things on our site. But the key to content marketing is really to think full funnel. So like a podcast episode is sort of top of the funnel, like in the middle of the funnel, you might be comparing like competitive tools and like you need some posts like that. Like I mentioned my competitors, I link to them, I'm doing the whole SEO thing. But then the place that people miss is near the bottom of the funnel, just above the conversion or the sale, particularly with us because our software is, relatively lower cost than a lot of software solutions. We don't have the unit economics to do business development reps and account reps and pipeline CRM stuff. So what you do at this lower price point is you create a suite of conversion tools. And conversion tools, again, this is automation. So we have, I'll name off several of them. We have automated sales webinars for 3 different use cases. We have a PDF ebook guide that compares the top solutions in the WordPress LMS space. We have a live group pre-sales call once a week for an hour that people from all over the world come to. And that's not fully automated because there's team members running that call. We have a free version of our software. We have a course that shows you how to set up the 5% of the software that is the most important. So
That's
people
so
can
nice.
use that in their like kind of research and evaluation before they buy. But then in that same conversion tool is also a customer success mechanism where they can like get onboarded by going through the course instead of contacting support. And there's more conversion tools we have, but those are some of the top ones that drive sales, and it's mostly automated or very limited time investment.
Going back to the AI side of things, as you said so yourself, you're already utilizing AI to improve a lot of the things that you have. I use the same way. I can't send an email right now without going through a grammar check over the AI bot on my ChatGPT account. I just can't. It
Yeah.
kind of became it's even that meme of when you are in the math test, you take the calculator out to calculate 2 + 2. You know the answer, you know it's 4, but you're not feeling it anymore. I kind of lost, the ability to oversee my own writing, which can be a plus, can be something to be concerned about, but still not the question. We right now are talking about the importance of creator, the importance about human things being created, sorry, about being creative as a human without AI as well, but also keeping the human side of things. But we're also seeing a lot of courses being AI generated and being sold as human generated.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of customers that are unsatisfied once they buy and they see this is not what Lifter does, but I'm actually going even further down the line of the market that you have. Is there something that you guys at Lifter are doing to promote more of the human side of things whenever you talk to your customers? Do you also make sure to tell them, hey, AI generated content can be a hit or miss? Usually it's more a miss than a hit. What is your view regarding it all?
Well, we just released a free course on how to create an online course with ChatGPT, and it's not a single prompt. It's an entire course of how to use AI as an assistant, not to do the work for you, and how to leverage it. I think GitHub has it right in that they call it a co-pilot. Like use
Oh, yeah.
AI as an assistant, not as a replacement for you. I think the best, easiest example is with writing. I find that simple words sometimes are misunderstood in the marketplace. So writing is actually 3 parts. It's research, it's writing, and it's editing. And we're not even going to
True.
get into the promotion side of the writing, but there's many parts there. If you use AI to make a course or to write a blog post or come up with an idea for a video, I recommend that you do the first outline, draft, knowledge dump yourself, and then get AI to come in and fill in the gaps, research. It'll augment you instead of replace you. And then when it comes to the actual content creation, I definitely recommend you deliver it yourself. And then when it comes to like editing, yeah, use it as an assistant, but don't make it. It's really easy for us now to tell when we get an email, when we read some content, or even watch a video, oh, this was entirely AI generated. That is the experience you want your prospects or customers to have, but use it to accelerate you. So we have some training around how to think about it, and it's interesting to see how it evolves. But I think the human and the machine is going to become more and more important the further we go. So, sort of like how there's that thing with clothes, like it's made in America or made here.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it'll be like human made, even if it was helped with technology. There's definitely a place for humans, and humans are drawn to connection with real humans. We like robots and software to accelerate us, but we still want that human connection.
That is true. Chris, what's next for you guys then? Now, you just mentioned about this new course. Great to know, by the way, because a lot of people, which is okay, of course, still don't know how to prompt. I was actually, I think, on Threads today, and a girl posted like, oh my God, ChatGPT, you suck. And then it was 2 images generated, but her prompt was like 10 words maximum, 5 words, I don't know. And she was complaining about the results not being what she wanted. But what's next for you? What can we expect about Lifter, about you yourself? Are you going back to Alaska to talk and train dogs? Are you going to stay and improve even further on the courses? What can we expect? Are you going to release a
Well,
course on how to sledge dogs? That would be nice.
I should do that. I really wanted to
Yeah,
make a course about like there's when you train animals to run 1,000 miles and all the stuff that happens in there. I want to do a leadership course about lessons from sled dogs, basically about
that's
leadership
perfect.
and
I
doing
would
hard.
buy. That's a nice one.
So I'm super lucky because my life mission is my company mission, which is why I'm still here over a decade. So I believe in lifting up others through education. It's something I'm passionate about, and that's what our software does. So I'm just not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep removing friction. I'm going to keep figuring out how to accelerate what people want to do with technology and automation and AI and all the rest. So we're just going to keep going. The crazy thing about this market is it's ever renewing. Part of what makes us human is we like to learn and grow. That's what parents do. They help kids learn and grow. That's what teachers do. And there's new people being born all the time. And there's new
Yeah,
kids getting older and becoming entrepreneurs and wanting to teach online. And the world has changed. So there's like new concepts and new ideas that need to be taught. So we're just going to keep doing what we do. For me,
perfect.
it's all about removing friction, empowering entrepreneurs, and having fun in the process and not losing touch with that human connection. So we're
Perfect.
keeping on, improving the software and, helping others lift up others through education.
That's an amazing closing statement, Chris. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for sharing about your story, about Alaska, about how you grew, Lifter, and what's going to be in the future. We hope to have you again once the sled-dog course is live. I'm going to talk you back into the show, okay? And then we can promote and talk about it all during the episode because this is personally something that I would love to touch back again. If you don't mind, of course. But that's the time we have, and I highly appreciate you being here. If you have a closing statement, you have something else you want to invite people over to your podcast, yes, guys, those that are watching us, please click on the links down the description to check everything that Chris is related to. But I'll ask for his closing statements if you want.
Yeah, I love helping other entrepreneurs. Just keep going, keep taking action, and try to align what you're passionate about with your work. And you can find me at lifterlms.com. We do have a free version of the software. It's very powerful. It's not a trial. About 80% of our users actually just use the free version.
Nice.
So go check that out. And then we have our podcast, which is LMS Cast. It's on Spotify and everywhere podcasts are syndicated. So if you enjoyed this conversation, definitely go check out the podcast. And thanks for having
That's
me,
it, too.
Victor. I love these chats. I really appreciate it.
No, it's an honor. It's a pleasure to have a fellow podcaster here. I'm not gonna lie, gonna say this live. I was very nervous during the entire conversation because I was testing myself towards your view, and I think that's why I gagged sometimes. But it was a nice one, and again, highly appreciated. Everyone else, this has been Chris and Victor. Catch you later. Thank you so much.